one of the greatest things ever was Candace Owens. The New York Times tweeted to her, "What evidence do you have that Ukraine is corrupt?" And so she tweets back, "Your own fucking newspaper." And she posts all
the
these
shit that
stories
they said. Mm-hmm.
as recently as 2017 about
yeah.
corruption in Ukraine. And they're like, oh, Jesus. Because you probably have some woke kid who's working at the New York Times thinks like, I'm going to dunk on Candace Owens. She is just talking out of her fucking ass. And she has in the past. Said some things that
fact that a local newspaper, basically a New York newspaper, is the law, is the truth of the world, is crazy.
Yeah, she has in the past said some things that are a little wacky.
Haven't we all?
But what she's saying here is like backed up by so many stories. Like the idea that they would just say that, not doing any research themselves. Like, what is she saying? She's saying Ukraine is corrupt. Hey guys, is that true? Like, if you're fucking 22, you don't know jack shit, and you just get out of college, you're like, hey guys, is that true? Is Ukraine corrupt? Well, fucking Google it. How long does it take?
Well,
before you tweet at her, it takes you 3 seconds.
But what is the authority? Who is the authority? Is the authority the university where these papers were written?
Well, whatever the authority is, if the fucking newspaper in which you work had stories about it being corrupt, maybe you should search at least your fucking own newspaper's databases
they have
before
a system,
you tweet
They
at
have
her.
a system. They have a database they can look themselves. Don't even have to Google it.
But I loved that because it was everyone had this narrative that if you're a good person, you have a Ukraine flag in your bio on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
And you support and no one can say anything bad about them. You can't say that there's like
anywhere, not on Fox News either. Not on Fox News either.
You can't say it anywhere.
Go look at the map of where the concentration camps were in Ukraine during the Second World War. There were concentration camps in Ukraine too, and they're all kind of right on that border with Poland, where there's still a lot of, the Azov brigade. I mean, but you can't talk about it because
isn't that wild? Like, you have to, like, when there's a side that you're supposed to be on, everything that side does, you're supposed to absolve or not think about anything that's negative. And that's how you know you're in a cult.
Well, but the Russia thing is interesting. I went to Russia, to Moscow, the Moscow Music Peace Festival in 1988. And which is a whole story by itself, which is hilarious because it was really to get Doc McGee out of jail and all this stuff. And this was before the wall came down. And the first thing I noticed there was what a bunch of shit this country is. They got this. Where's the high tech? They had like gray Volkswagen type buses, and that was supposed to be the KGB. And it was like, this is bullshit. I saw, I met the Moscow Hells Angels. I mean, there was mayhem. They had hookers everywhere. The country was amazing. It was great to be there with Motley Crue, Bon Jovi, Skid Row, Ozzy Osbourne. It was a crazy time.
What year was this again?
88.
88.
And so now that was the Soviet Union, and many people look at most people in Congress now. The ones that are in charge are 80. So they went through the Cuban Missile Crisis. They're traumatized literally by Russia. Russia is going to my own family. Russia. It was the Soviet Union. So when we kind of struck a deal with the Soviet Union, and we said, look, Minsk Agreement. This wall, it's coming down. We got to unify East and West Germany, and we're going to... Now, the U.S., by the way, had completely fucked them financially. That's why they had nowhere to go. We had just the same thing as we're doing now. We had completely fucked them financially. They couldn't participate in the world financial system, so they had to open it up, and they had to stop the insanity. And, of course, ultimately, Moscow, you've got big, luxury brands there, and there's it really revitalized the country. But the agreement was... which was never documented. The agreement was, we'll never push NATO any closer to your border. And although there's documentation that was agreed upon, it never made it into the agreement. So it was never signed, which is just true. So idiot Russians or Soviet Union dudes, what a fucking moron you are that you didn't get that in writing. Because subsequently, we've had NATO just expand and expand and expand. And at a certain point, and this is the Russian disinformation, Putin now in Russia says, no more, you got to stop. You got to stop. And then when Zelensky, the television actor who plays the piano with his penis, said, You've seen it, right? You've seen it?
No.
Well, first of all, he played the president of Ukraine on television in a movie.
Yes,
or a
I know
series.
that.
But he was also a comedian, and so he has this bit where he would play. Jamie, you got to find. It's hilarious. It's a funny bit. He's behind the piano and he's playing it with his dick. So there you go.
That's the president of Ukraine.
Yeah, Zelensky.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Give me.
It's limited funny bit. It doesn't last that long.
Oh, hold on a second.
This goes on for 5 minutes.
This is bullshit. His dick is not making those noises.
Of course not.
Oh, duh.
No, really?
This is stupid.
but
I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed as a
magic.
casual observer. I'm like that sounds too uniform. Those are fingers. This is a lie. More lies. Propaganda. It's the government. CIA.
True.
PSYOP.
Absolutely. So when Zelensky said, "Yeah, we need some nuclear weapons from NATO here on our turf," that's when, of course, this is disinformation. Putin went, "No, fuck no, you're not going to do that." And then there's and then the corruption is. It's important to keep Ukraine where it is because money's running through that. There's all kinds of cyber.
So what do you
shit.
think? What do you think happens now if Russia is winning now?
Yeah.
And
I don't know if
Ukraine
they're winning. I don't.
What is where do you get your information? Like
from
do you trust?
military people who are in Poland, in Belarus,
And you know them?
Yeah, personally. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so they're telling you it's rough.
Yes. I mean, let's just look at some of this, which is, I think, well documented. A lot of this gear doesn't really make it to the Ukrainian front. It gets stolen. It's all over Eastern Europe, everywhere. These weapons, tank mortars, all kinds of stuff.
You mean when we send those what are those called? That vehicle that doesn't work that good?
Well, not the Bradley fighting vehicle.
But if we send those Bradley fighting vehicles, don't we send a dude like Robert Downey Jr. to go over there and like explain
that
hey, this is how it fucking works?
It's exactly like that. Robert Downey Jr. goes there and he sells it to some other dude because on the way to the front lines. Hey, I'll sell it to you. I'll sell it to you.
Tony Stark. So that's the whole the origin story, right?
All I know is the message from our government is Putin has to go. So they want a regime change in Russia.
Right.
Putin has to go. And we're historically bad at killing leaders. Like we tried Castro with the exploding cigar bit and everything, and we just sucked at it. And Putin is way too isolated. He's guarded, whatever. But that seems to be the only way that changes is if Putin is dead or is gone. And I just don't see a way out of it. I mean, it's a fucking travesty. People are really dying. Russians and Ukrainians, people are dying. It's stupid. And all we can do is hang a flag and put an emoji on our Twitter handle like, oh, I'm for it. You shouldn't be for it. It's disgusting that $800 billion a year goes to the military in our country. Do you know how much shit you could fix for that?